All right, guys, welcome to this week's Deal Structure Sunday with L. Rusty Ham from California. Hey, Rusty, welcome back, buddy.
Hey, thanks, Chris. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
You bet. I say welcome back because if you guys are new, you may be watching these deal structure videos. Make sure you subscribe so you get the channels here are Deal Structure Sundays, Motivational Mondays, and Q&A Thursdays. And Rusty's no stranger because he's gone through every level in our company as far as a student. Now he's a certified coach, brings on every single student. So when you come join us someday, you'll see Rusty and he'll be helping you with your first 90 days. So away we go, Rusty. All right, this deal is quite different. So we're going to do our best to give them a lot of, not all of the nuances, because there's some really twists here. It's not your cookie cutter, but also they're going to be seeing this after we do it live on the Wicked Smart Sit Down. So I want to remind all the Wicked Smart viewers, every Thursday, myself, some of the coaches, Nick, Zach, family members, we're on the Wicked Smart Sit Down. It's free for all of you. All you gotta do is show up 4 to 4:50 Eastern Standard Time, and we're gonna really rip this deal apart next week. And if you see this before then, great. But if not, let that be a sort of a reminder to stay tuned with us. All right, Rusty, what type of deal is this first?
This is actually a referral from a wholesaler.
I forgot that. That's even makes this even more interesting. Tell me about that. How did that come about? Do you remember?
Yeah, it was from, I don't know if you remember Michael Thompson. He was communicating with a wholesaler on Clubhouse actually.
Wow.
And they were discussing they were discussing this type of deal. Michael knew I was out in California. It's right 15 minutes from me, so he referred the wholesaler to me, and I started communicating with him, and we got the ball rolling.
Sweet. And let me just say this, this is not an arrow. If you're a wholesaler, please don't misunderstand me. But if you listen to my podcast coming up, and I think it might not air till the fall, you're going to see an interview I did with an attorney, Rusty. I don't know if I even told you this. And this attorney's on the real estate commission for many states. He's obviously a practicing attorney. He's on many boards for investors. And he outlined for me on the podcast how and why all the states are getting shut down with wholesaling. So please put yourself in a position where you can buy like we buy and sell like we sell, so you don't cripple yourself. And I think it's a job anyway when you're wholesaling, but if you love it, great. Just know that the laws have changed on you, unfortunately. All right. So source was a referral. So the deal type is what?
Subject to.
Sub 2. Okay. Is there any equity? Because I want to make sure the listener knows a sub 2 usually has no term. We own it. But is there any equity and there's a term to the equity? We'll talk about the debt too. Let's do it all at once here.
It's hard to say about the equity because I'm taking over the loan.
How much is the loan? Let's start with that.
I gave them money up front. So there was equity. But
he got it from cash?
Yeah.
All right, let's do this. Let's go backwards on this one. The debt is how much when you started?
$530.
$530,000 mortgage you took over.
Yep.
Okay. At the time, before any cash, we'll talk about how you did it, which is creative. How much equity was there? So in other words, what'd you buy it for? Because this is a buy.
I bought it for $530, but I gave him some equity. So I'm not sure how.
Okay, so the debt wasn't $530. You bought it for $530.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's how much is on the loan is $530.
Well, wait a minute. So you bought it for the loan amount, but you gave him extra cash, so you bought it for higher than the loan amount.
Yeah.
Okay. So the debt is $530.
So 600.
600. All right. So you had 70 equity. How do we get him the equity? He doesn't have to wait till the end in this deal. So let's get to that. How'd you give it to him?
So last year I applied for business credit through Fund and Grow. I was able to get a significant amount of business credit, so I used that business credit to fund the equity.
All right, this is cool because here's the deal, guys. If you're watching this and you do not have business, forget your personal for a second. You do not have business credit built up in your entity, and you can start tomorrow if you don't. Don't worry about it. They'll show you how. You want to start this process. Rusty, Brian O'Neill, another coach, Rick Abbiati, they all went to Fund and Grow and as a result have built up lines of credit. The first year is usually zero interest, right? Rusty, was yours?
Yep.
Yep. Guys, zero interest for a year. He used that to fund this deal, free money in a sense. He can put it back with his other deals, whatever he wants. That's another discussion. But it's super important you do that. And then Fund and Grow shows you how to do it again 6 months or a year out. And you do another round of funding. And before you know it, you get yourself up to $250,000. How much do you have, Rusty? Do you know?
I was approved for 90.
90. And did you go back for round 2 or not yet?
Round 2 is coming up.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a side note. I know this is Deal Structure Sunday, but this is how you have rainy day money. So you can either buy your deal like Rusty did, or something happens, unfortunately, and you need to access the credit. Why do it with your personal when you can do it with the business? Go to smartrealestatecoach.com/fund and the word spelled out, fund and grow. All right. So no term because you paid them. You just sold this. How much you sell for?
Well, there is a term. We did some money up front, and then we agreed on 20K, 48 months.
So you gave him 50-ish and you owe him 20-ish.
Yeah, we caught him up on 3 months back pay. I gave him some movie money, and then we agreed on 20,000 in 48 months.
All right, so this is super creative, actually. Moving money, a teeny bit up front, and then another down payment, and then 20 grand on the back end on the 48-month point. Sweet. So where could Rusty perhaps maybe get the 20 grand on the back end? Fund and Grow, sure, but where is he likely going to get it? One of his other deals paying out, right?
Yep.
So, all right, you just completed a cool deal. I know with Nick's help, you guys work awesome together. What is the down payment?
You want to know what we sold it for first?
Yeah, sorry, I skipped that line up above, didn't I? How much?
6. I mean, I round it up if you want to make it easy number, 700,000.
Okay. 700 grand. My brain works better with round. All right. How much down all together? And then how do we phase it?
Okay. 40 altogether.
Okay.
And then 25 up front.
Okay.
And then 15 throughout the 2-year term.
Like steady turned out?
Yep.
Throughout. All right. This deal, as of the filming of this video, actually is closing next Wednesday, I think, like in less than a week.
Yep.
Yep, for them to know. So Rusty collects 25 grand at the table that day. Okay, your monthly payment on the underlying 530, Rusty.
The monthly payment's 3,000.
$3,000. Does that include everything PITI or no?
That's PITI, yes.
Okay, if you knew principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, all inclusive. Payment from the buyer.
The payment to the buyer is 35.
3,500. Okay. Now, Rusty, for them to know, because we got to, like, the whole story here is lots of times when you're a new student, you'll make a deal contingent upon finding a buyer. Rusty's been at this for a bit. He did not, and he carried this house for how long, Rusty?
And that's why you need business credit, and you need that money set aside. I bought it in November, and we're closing
6 or 7 months.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. They won't cry for you when they see the rest of the numbers. That's why I want to ask.
No, they will not. No.
All right.
Yeah.
Monthly cash flow with this buyer, and how long did you and Nick put for a term?
It's a 2-year term.
Okay. Okay. Another caveat, right? I want you to comment on this, but
yeah,
you gave him a 2-year term. Why? Rusty can control the deal. He owns the house. So at the end of the 2 years, if they're not ready and he loves them and they've always been on time, can he maybe extend them? Sure. Could he maybe want to finance them and change this whole deal? Sure. So any comments on that, Rusty? I don't know what you're thinking with this one, but
yeah, that was my whole thing is because, you know, the 20,000 I owe in 48 months, again, I can use another deal. I'll pay that guy off. And then now I own this forever. And so I can technically, you know, sell or finance it, or extend them. The number I gave you were 36 months because
sorry, let's do 36.
Yeah. Because I feel just based on what their credit's like and who's involved, it's probably gonna go 36.
Especially if you don't push them. And why would you push them if you have that? You already own it. Let them take their time and not stress out. We tell them that.
Right. So that's 18.
18?
Yep.
18K. Okay. All right. Now it gets interesting. So we marked it up, just to use round numbers, 100 grand.
Yep.
Okay. And then if you're new to these deal structures, guys, there's some principal pay down going on with that $3,000 payment. It's if you're familiar with the amortization schedule, every month it slightly increases, but we just take a look at today. How much is that?
Yeah, and just a side note, the loan is a VA loan and it's at 2%.
Oh my God. Okay, we didn't even address that.
Yeah, FYI.
Okay, hold on then. So the community is buying homes in the 2 to 4.5% range of the rates from COVID and post-COVID. And if you're out there now buying conventional, you're paying 6 or 7. Okay.
Yeah.
I hope if nothing else in this deal structure, you understand how super important it is to understand how we buy, to go buy your family a house, not forget investment, where you can get a 2 or 3% rate. Your spouse will be super happy. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you for adding that, Rusty. How much?
Yeah, you're welcome. So it's $1,100 a month in principal pay down times 36. That's 39,600.
This is so powerful because that 1,100 is going to increase fast. We're just using 1,100.
Yeah.
Another 39.6 there. Now, you got to picture this if you're new to these deal structures. Picture this like Rusty didn't do all this, and this deal is ready to close now with his buyer tomorrow. Well, just like any other conventional deal, they're going to get credit for their deposit. So we got to minus their payday 1 deposit. It's like they put it down day 1. So what's the total cash out here?
99,600.
99,600 for payday 3 only. So if you take all 3 paydays, just let me highlight them. You got 40, you got 18, and what's that? Almost 160 grand.
157.6.
157.6. So keep in mind, Rusty had to carry this for 6 months, so about 18 grand. I still don't think you're crying for him. So everything's okay if he was properly funded. If he wasn't properly funded, this would have been a different conversation. You probably would have called the seller and said, "Oh, got to give the house back," or whatever, because that's 6 months. But this goes to show you, even on a high-end home, high mortgage payment, even though it's is this amortized less than 30 years? It must be. It's so high. No.
No.
Okay. Interesting. Any other? Well, let's talk buyer real quick. So buyer, why? Buyer and seller, Rusty. Why did the seller do this? And why did the buyer do it? Because this is so important. This is people just don't understand when they see us do a master's class or a webinar. They'll go, "Yeah, well, how'd you convince them?" We never do, right? So why did they do it?
Yeah, and great point, because I brought this up on office hours yesterday, right? Why are we?
What office hours is because they're new.
Office hours. I host office hours. It's just a Zoom link that the community just can click on and come in and ask any questions. I'll critique a call live. I'll call a seller live for them. We'll go over scripts. We'll go over some mindset stuff. So we do a lot of stuff that may not be covered on their weekly calls, and they just come in and ask questions. So I brought this up because this deal here is why we're here. The seller, they're military. They were behind on payments 3 months. He was being shipped to Hawaii. They were going to live on the base, so they don't need a house in Hawaii.
Wow.
So I caught them up, protected his credit, and took over his home. So now they're done. They can live on the military base and live their life without any problems with their credit.
First, can I say something? You said it's why we do what we do.
Yeah.
They don't know that one of our values is to complete all transactions with the highest integrity. They don't know that our purpose in our company is to help literally create people's life of their dreams. That doesn't mean us. It means, yes, us and the sellers and the buyers and the students, everyone. So go ahead.
Right. So, and then on the buyer side, again, I bought it in November and we're just now closing. So, there are some growing pains as far as my mental part about this, right? I was anxious. I was, wanting to stop the bleeding, so to speak. But my patience paid off, right? We found these buyers that are just outside of financeability. They have the money. They just couldn't get qualified, and they're just super appreciative of how we can help them, right? I shared the phone call of them, and me accepting them, and him just almost crying because he was just so appreciative of what we can do for him.
We may play that at the event, as I shared with you, Rusty, because But we had an offsite recently with our company a few days ago, and Nick told me how cool that was and how happy you and him were for the buy. And I said, play it as your positive focus when we open our meeting, because that's why we're here. And the other team members that don't get to interact with deals were blown away. They got it. They were so pleased to hear that. So yeah, it's really cool. You got like a double whammy and a lot of challenges here. So good learning curve. That's why El Rusty is your coach when you come in. And so, you
Yeah.
got to live this stuff, right, Rusty?
Yeah, and just side note, just there was other buyers that we were considering. We just considered them because of who they were, what they did in their lives. They're just super hardworking, and there was a family atmosphere, right? I think the in-laws are going to live with them too, and
That's even better.
yeah, it's just and that's why I love this community, because it's such a family oriented community that's why we accept them. They just they fit our avatar.
So cool. What's really neat, you guys, if you're seeing this, you want to register for the QLS Live event. I know they'll see it before then. I don't think it'll come up before the sit down, but they'll see this. So, Rusty, I guess you've been to a lot of events now. So why should they come to the event? Besides, they can meet you and pick your brain, right? But they can do it with everyone. So why else should they come? What's your knee jerk on that? And then we'll wrap up.
It's just I call it hobnobbing, but you're just around like-minded people that have the same passion and same goals as far as just getting having freedom. And I created that freedom based by coming to events and by getting involved and sticking to the plan like you laid out for me. And just talking to people. It's not necessarily what's going on at the event. It's the side talks. It's the pulling people aside and picking people's brains and listening to their stories.
So they can learn more at the event, but just tell them in your 10,000-foot view, when you joined, you were doing what, and took you how long to exit your W-2?
Yeah, so my first event was 2019. I was a full-time physical education teacher and a high school basketball coach. I was maybe looking for real estate on the side, and then at the event, I think you remember, you I told you what I did, and you pulled me aside and said, hey, you might we might have you coach someday, and that kind of lit a fire in my bell. I was like, oh, this I don't know, I've never met you, and when you said that to me, I was like, well, this could happen. I never thought I could do that, right? I never thought I could coach real estate.
You coached for that many years, but not really.
Yeah, so so it was an easy transition as far as coaching. Obviously it's it's different from high school sports, but when you said that to me, it just kind of, my ears perked up. I was like, okay, well, let's try this. Let's go for it.
Love it. Well, I could keep chatting, but they're gonna have to come to the QLS Live. So go to qlslive.com. I'll even give you guys a coupon code, and the team will love me because I don't even think I'm supposed to use it on YouTube. But go to qlslive.com, and then when you get to the checkout cart, put in the coupon code QLS49. You get it for $49, guys. This is as close as I can get to free. I got to make sure you're serious to get there. Rusty will meet you. We can tear apart deals together. You're going to meet some amazing people that, quite frankly, nobody in the audience could afford to get next to. And they're going to be right in the room with you. And all you get paid is $49. Kind of a joke. So I'll see you there. QLS Live, September 13 through 15. Rusty, thanks again, buddy.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.